Hello everyone, in this video we are going to discuss the body of the maxilla. We will leave the processes for a later video. In this picture you can make out this is the body of the maxilla, pyramidal with three sides, an apex and a base, and processes: frontal process, alveolar process, zygomatic process, and palatine process. Now if you just look at the body of the maxilla, here at the apex of the body of the maxilla you can make out the zygomatic process. The process itself is the apex of the body of the maxilla. It articulates with the maxillary process of the zygomatic bone. Now this view is actually an anterolateral view of the maxilla. So you can see the anterior surface of the body, this one, it is the facial surface. You can also see the posterior surface of the body. This is the infratemporal and pterygopalatine surface. You can see the superior surface of the body over here, which is the orbital surface. The only surface that you cannot see is the medial or the nasal surface. Now if you look at the facial surface of the body of the maxilla, above here you can see that it makes out part of the margin of the floor of the orbit. So the inferior margin of the orbit is made up by the body of the maxilla, which extends up along the frontal process to form the medial margin. And just below this margin of the orbit over here you have an opening, a small foramen called the infraorbital foramen, through which pass infraorbital vessels and nerves. Now this space between the orbital margin and the infraorbital foramen gives attachment to the levator labii superioris, and the space between the infraorbital foramen and the alveolar process somewhere here gives attachment to the levator anguli oris. And as you can see in this surface here you have the nasal notch, and this projection is the anterior nasal spine. To the margins of the nasal notch here you have the attachment of the nasalis muscle. Here you have the compressor naris, and here you have the compressor component, and here you have the dilator component. Not only that, over here you have the attachment of another muscle which is called the depressor septi. So compressor naris, dilator naris, depressor septi, levator labii superioris, levator anguli oris. These are the important structures on the facial surface or the anterior surface of the body of the maxilla. Now if we go to the posterior surface, you know that this posterior surface forms part of the infratemporal fossa, and over here it articulates with the pterygoid process of the sphenoid, and the gap in between them forms the pterygomaxillary fissure, through which you have the entry of the maxillary artery. And over here you have the attachment of the lower part of the pterygoid process, and into this small gap fits in the pyramidal process of the palatine bone. So in this infratemporal surface you can make out these small openings. These small openings are for the passage of the posterior superior alveolar vessels and nerves. They supply the molar teeth from within the body of the maxilla. And you can make out that there is a small groove over here, a wide but shallow one. It transmits the maxillary nerve, which is continued on the orbital surface as the infraorbital nerve. So passing above from the infratemporal surface onto the orbital surface, the maxillary nerve is continued as the infraorbital nerve in an infraorbital groove or canal which opens up on the anterior surface through the infraorbital foramen. Not only that, this posterior bulging part of the body of the maxilla is called the maxillary tuberosity, and here you have another muscle attachment. You have the attachment of the superficial fibers of the medial pterygoid muscle. Coming back to the superior or orbital surface, now over here rising up into the frontal process you have a shallow groove which is bounded anteriorly by the anterior lacrimal crest, which is part of the frontal process of the maxilla. and just below and lateral to this groove, this lacrimal groove, you have over here the attachment of the inferior oblique muscle of the eyeball. To this upper margin on this side, you have the attachment first of the lacrimal bone, then the orbital plate of the ethmoid bone, and lastly the orbital process of the palatine bone. So facial surface, infratemporal surface, orbital surface, apex, and now we will go on to the base. Before that, we take another hurried look, and again you can see the transverse part and the alar part of nasalis, the compressor naris, the dilator naris, and the depressor septi, and you can see levator labii superioris, and you can see levator anguli oris. One another thing, this infraorbital groove and canal which transmits the maxillary nerve, we have said from the posterior aspect of the body you have multiple foramina for the posterior superior alveolar vessels and nerves. Now from this infraorbital nerve within the body of the maxilla, you have again coming down the anterior superior alveolar vessels and nerves and a few middle superior alveolar vessels and nerves for supplying the premolars, canines and incisors from within the body of the maxilla. And again you can make out this maxillary tuberosity and the infratemporal surface and the orbital surface, facial or anterior, infratemporal or posterior, orbital or superior, zygomatic process is the apex. Now let us go to the base. On the medial surface you are within the nasal cavity. So this here is the nasal cavity and below here is the hard palate. So on this medial surface of the body of the maxilla, you can see there is a big opening for the maxillary sinus. This is the maxillary hiatus, and you can make out that the entire body of the maxilla then is totally hollowed out by the maxillary sinus. Now this opening naturally is not so big on the side walls of the nose, and because this is the lateral wall of the nose, here you expect the shelves on the lateral wall of the nose, that is the superior nasal concha, the middle nasal concha somewhere here like this, and the inferior nasal concha somewhere here. So superior nasal concha, middle nasal concha and inferior nasal concha over here. Now if we want to know how this maxillary hiatus is closed up in real life, we have to fit several bones over here. First of all, we have said here we have the articulation of the lacrimal bone, and here we have the ethmoid bone. So here taking up a major part and blocking this opening is the labyrinth of the ethmoid. And from the labyrinth of the ethmoid you have a hook-like uncinate process coming down and further blocking this opening. So labyrinth of the ethmoid with uncinate process. From below here you have the inferior nasal concha blocking the maxilla. From behind, as you can see, we already have the perpendicular plate of the palatine bone. So this hole is now more or less closed. You have the ethmoid, you have the inferior nasal concha, and you have the palatine bone, and these three together close up the maxillary hiatus and leave a very small opening just above the uncinate process of the ethmoid. So below these parts are sealed with mucous membrane, and just above the uncinate process you have a small residual opening for the maxillary sinus, which is actually a little bit high above the floor of the nose. Now if we look at another schematic, here you can see again that opening on the medial surface of the body of the maxilla, articulation with the labyrinth of the ethmoid, with the perpendicular plate of the palatine bone, with the lacrimal over here closing this hiatus. Let us see how it is closed. Here you can see superior nasal concha, middle nasal concha, inferior nasal concha on the lateral wall. Now we will break through the middle nasal concha here, and now you can make out the ethmoid. The ethmoid over here and its uncinate process. So ethmoid with its uncinate process, inferior nasal concha and the perpendicular plate of the palatine bone, and here you have the residual opening of the maxillary sinus just above the uncinate process. So ethmoid, inferior nasal concha and perpendicular plate of palatine.